You're on a date with a woman and you really like her, but for some reason, the whole interaction feels a little bit flat, boring. And that's even worse if you met her on a dating app, whether it's Tinder, Hinge, or Bumble. Especially if on that app you were able to convey a very attractive personality. You were witty, you were funny, but now things are flat. You don't know if she likes you, you don't know if she's attracted to you, and you don't really know where to take things from where you are right now. And trust me, I've been there. We all know the feeling that creeps up in us, the thoughts that this situation creates in our mind, where we're thinking, hey, am I not as attractive as I thought I was? Or hey, does this girl not find me attractive? Or does she not think I'm the kind of guy that's worth dating? Does she not see me as a real man? And these thoughts kind of make you feel a little insecure, right? They don't make us feel good. They make us feel a little powerless. Tip number one, and that's probably the most important one, it's about your mindset. What I want you to do is assume that she likes you. Because let's face it, you're here, she's here, and there must have been something in the beginning. And I always tell my clients that your only job, if she met up with you, is to not fuck it up. Assume that she's already attracted to you. And this is the exact same thing that I would suggest you do in that situation. If you find yourself in a situation where you wonder whether she likes you, whether she's attracted to you, the key thing is to not panic. Don't start stressing out. Don't start questioning yourself. Instead, realize that you don't need to be this amazing, witty, ultra funny guy in order to end up with a girl that you have natural chemistry with, right? So instead of stressing out, instead of thinking ahead of what you could possibly do next, just assume that she likes you, assume that she's attracted to you, that you're an attractive person, that you're an attractive man, and instead focus on making a move. Instead focus on taking things to the next step. Move in for the kiss, or start at least touching her shoulder area, all of that, just make a move. I always talk about this, making a move. It's so crucial because especially when the interaction flattens out, you making a move will make the interaction more exciting again, right? Even if it goes wrong, even if she's not ready, even if she doesn't feel it yet, making a move will create a new dynamic in the whole interaction, and you can work with it. It gives you, like, in terms of making the interaction exciting, it's almost like creating a spike. And I always talk about making a move because making a move, even in cases where she's not ready for it or she's just not feeling like having something happen between the two of you, it will create a new dynamic. It will make both of you feel different, and especially if the interaction was a bit flat up to that point, I can guarantee you, if you make a move, it's either going to end super well, and there's a slim chance it's not going to end well, but there's also a large space in between it going amazing or it going really bad, where the interaction has a new dynamic and it's more playful and more fun for both of you. Tip number two, stop filtering what you're saying. So instead of thinking ahead of, hey, what should I say to impress her? Or what is the next thing I should be talking about? How can I make this more fun? Instead, drop those filters. Just start blabbing. Whatever pops up in your head, you want to bring that up. And I've made a video, I'm gonna link it here for you to watch on just that topic, just keeping talking forever. That's an amazing skill to have, and it helps you just dropping those filters, and instead of filtering, just presenting your unfiltered, real personality. The truth is, if you end up with a girl in a relationship, she's going to find out who you really are, and you don't want to start a relationship based on a fake personality. You want to show her what kind of person you are, what your humor is like, what your passions are, and present it to her. The unfiltered, real self. So just start talking, be engaging, be expressive, express what you like, express what you don't like, but be expressive. I think expressiveness here is really a big word. It's an important skill to have. It's an important thing to do, just being expressive in your life. And if you do that in an interaction, it's just going to make it more exciting for both of you. Tip number three, spice up your interactions. That's a really amazing skill set if you have it. It's also called flirting. And if you imagine a range of the spiciness of the interaction, so to speak, you can imagine this range where on one end there is the boring end. The interaction is flat, boring, logical, kind of feels like, I don't know, an interaction that you have with a work colleague, but not a work colleague that you know well, more someone that the interaction always feels a little bit awkward with. And on the other end, there's this ultra fun interaction that you have with your best friend when you have a really good night and you're just sitting together and shooting the shit about a topic that both of you love. And on that range, you want to be closer to the fun end that you have with your friends than on the boring end. Of course, right? I think everyone that's watching this video, you've probably realized that long ago, that it's important to be in that range. The question is, how do you do that? And this is what's typically referred to as being polarizing, and it ties back to the second tip that I gave you. You need to stop filtering what you're saying. And instead of filtering, you just start saying things that come to your mind, whether it's taking the interaction a little bit sexual, whether it's teasing the person in front of you, whether it's challenging them, throwing a challenge at them, something like, hey, well, actually, I don't think what you're saying is true. Is it? Are you just fucking with me? Just throwing something at them. You can imagine it like that, like throwing a ball at them and seeing how they react. Do they drop it? Do they catch it and awkwardly throw it to the side? Do they catch it and throw it back at you? And one thing that I like to do a lot is being sarcastic, right? Like throwing something sarcastic at the other person. If that's your humor, use that. Whatever your humor is, use that in your interactions with women. And if you don't really know what your humor is, see what kind of humor you have when you hang out with your close friends. What makes you laugh? What do you say to make them laugh? What is it that you watch on YouTube? What makes you laugh on YouTube? What kind of humor is that? And then try to emulate that. Because in the end, it's not about making them laugh, it's about making you laugh. And then something called the law of state transfer kicks in, where it's making you laugh and making you feel good. So the person in front of you, their mirror neurons in their brains are going to mirror that and make them feel good as well, make them laugh as well. Tip number 4, and that's a big one. It's something that you can read in women's magazines, but that most men actually don't understand. It is that women want a man that makes them feel desired. And the key term here is making them feel desired. So the problem is that most guys, they kind of come from a standpoint of being very needy, like they want something from the woman. And that doesn't make a woman feel desired, or at least not in the way that they really find attractive. Instead, what women want is a man that makes them feel desired from a position of power, from a position of being attractive and just sharing his desire without expecting anything in return. So what can you do to make a woman feel desired? And it's actually quite simple. What you need to do is start sharing what you think of her. But you don't want to give compliments where you expect anything in return. You don't want to give a compliment in the sense of, hey, I'm giving you a compliment, now I want you to like me. No, what you're doing is sharing how you feel about her, sharing what you appreciate about her, and just tell her. A strong, successful person just shares what he feels with others to make them feel good. It's not for you, you do it for them. Hey, you know what? I really like the way you did your hair today. It looks really good on you. Sharing what you like about the woman you're talking to without wanting anything in return will show your desire, will show your appreciation for her in a way that can make her feel good without having the feeling of having to give anything in return. And if you don't really know how to do it, just give her a compliment, something you really like, something you really appreciate, and keep talking, Don't just say the compliment and then wait, but instead give her a compliment and just continue with the interaction. You're in charge. You lead the interaction, move things forward. Give her a compliment and then continue with the story you were talking about before. And that leads me to the 5th tip, the 5th and last tip for today's video. And before going to the 5th tip, if you've liked this video, if you want more of this type of content, or if you just want to help me out, click the subscribe button, click the notification bell to make sure that you will be informed about future videos that I put out, which I do every single week, and hit the thumbs up. This will really help me out, and it will also help me put out more content for you. With that said, let's go to tip number 5. Tip number 5 is do what you want. And that really ties in with tip number 4, where I told you to not put any pressure on her or expect anything in return when you want a compliment from her. But the truth is, you should do whatever you want. So if sometimes you feel like putting some pressure on her, you may very well give her a compliment and then just look at her, you know, just, what's she gonna say to that, you know? I just told you that I think you have a really nice ass, right? Or I just told you that you have really nice hair today. What are you gonna respond to that? And you should do that with everything. You know, if you feel like kissing her, if you feel like putting your arm around her, if you feel like just staring at her in her eyes and see how she reacts, you should do that. Because in the end, it is very attractive if a guy just does what he wants without caring so much about what people think of him. You know, as long as you're not hurting anyone, as long as you're not doing anything illegal or offending people too hard, because you know it's 2021, don't offend the world, but do it a little bit sometimes. Do what you think is right, do what you like, do what you want, and move things forward. And I will end it on this topic of moving things forward, because moving things forward is what will get you what you truly desire.